Good morning, all. Welcome back to Sew Granny Sew. I am super excited today. We are doing a Amish Star as shown, and we have some absolutely gorgeous fabric to do that with. So we have some blue with some purple in the background, and it's got like a teal and some greenish color in it. And then to go with it, we have it's almost like a dusty rose color or maybe a rose quartz. And then it's got some little blue and kind of a tannish peachish color flowers. We got some white and some little country blue flowers with a darker kind of a brownish burgundy vine going through it. So it's really pretty fabrics. So let's walk through what we need here. For the darker color, you only need the two colors. For the darker color, you're going to need 8 2-inch by 2-inch squares, 4 3.5 by 2-inch square rectangles, and 8 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares. And then for the lighter color, we're going to need 8 of the 2-inch by 2-inch squares, 8 of the 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares, 4 of the 3.5 by 2-inch rectangles, and 1 3.5 by 3.5 inch block. So that is all. You would think by looking at that picture it's a really complicated block, but we are only going to add on to what we've already learned one new block, and it's going to be the flying geese. And it's super duper simple. It'll require the dark rectangle and two 2-inch by 2-inch squares. So let's go ahead and get started. So we will take our rectangle and set that aside. And then we'll take our two small ones, and just like we do with the half square triangle, we're going to turn that over onto the back side and go point to point with our ruler and draw that line on there. And you're going to do the same thing with the other one. Then we're just going to line those up with the corners of our rectangle, making sure both sides line up. Take a pin, put that in there. Once we get that pin in there, we're just going to go ahead and stitch down that center line. We're going to take it to the ironing board, iron that open, and then we'll come back and we'll cut that up and add the next one. Have that sewn on there and iron flat. We're just going to take our ruler and line up that 1/4-inch seam on the edge of our ruler, right over top of that seam we put there. And we'll go ahead and trim that down. Hang on to your extras. Remember, we do a bonus block. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and put the next one on the other opposite corner. Make sure that your diagonal line will be going the same way, so it will open up and face just like that. So we'll go ahead and pin that one into place. And then we will repeat, just take that stitch on that center line, bring it to the ironing board, iron it flat, and we'll come back and trim that up. Second side on. Once again, we will just put our ruler, line it up with that 1/4-inch on the seam, trim that down. And we have our first flying geese. So that's all there is to it, guys. Really super simple. Almost as simple as just making the half square triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out our square, now that you know what that is. And get it all set up so we know exactly what we're doing, and we'll go forward to the next step. So I have it roughly laid out so you can kind of get the gist of the pattern on it. Anywhere we have these pins at, as you can see, is where we're going to do either a half square triangle or a flying geese. So all these corner ones here are actually half square triangles, 2 on each end. So just in case you're new to the channel, I'll go ahead and show the half square triangle again. We're just going to turn to the lightest color on the back, put that down. We're going to go diagonal, draw a line. Whoops, let's draw a line, not cut it. Okay, so we're going to draw a line from corner to corner. We're going to pin on that one side. And we're just going to stitch down that center line. Open that flat. Iron that down. And then when we come back, we'll just line up that 1/4 inch. And once we have it ironed open, then we'll go ahead and take the ruler, line that 1/4 inch on the ruler up with the stitch that you put in. And then we're just going to trim that off with our rotary cutter. And open that back up, and we'll have our half square triangle. It's that simple. So I'm going to go ahead and get the half square triangles done and the flying geese, because I did show you how to do that one already. And then we'll come back and we'll go ahead and get started assembling it together. I have all of the half square triangles and the flying geese put together now. I do want to make a correction, because originally I said we are going to need 8 2.5 by 2.5 of both kinds. We will not need any 2.5. It will all be 2 inches. Therefore, we are trimming these down. It's okay if you do it like that, because it actually gives you a little bit room for error. But we'll just go ahead and trim these down. So if you do it with a 2.5 by 2.5, you are going to have to trim. So I have the rest trimmed down already, so that was the last one for that. Go ahead and start putting it together. Okay, so in these, I'm going to separate these out a little bit. And these squares here, we're just going to flip these over and take a 1/4 inch seam along both of those. And then we'll open them back up, iron them flat, and then we'll go ahead and put them this way and sew them together. So we'll end up with a square like that. On these ones with the flying geese, you're just going to flip it over, take your 1/4 inch seam, open it up and iron it flat, and you'll have a square like that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to work on our 4 corners with all the little squares in it. And then we'll get those done, iron them flat, come back, and then we'll work on our flying geese. And then we'll go ahead and after that one, then we'll go ahead and get the square put together. Flying geese sewn together on each side. And I have our squares sewn 2 together at a time. This is not how it lays out, but I accidentally put it down like this when I got done sewing it. I kind of like this design. I did only end up with that 8 of them in that size and 8 of them in that size. And I think this is kind of small to be doing anything with it. That measures like 1.25 inches. So it's really tiny. By the time you took the 1/4 inch seam allowance off of each side, you'd end up with 3/4 inch. So that one's really tiny, so I don't know if I'm going to use those, but I think I might do this layout in a smaller version, like this instead of the star, because I do kind of like that design. And that is all I did, literally, is I just put those down the wrong way. Okay, so I wanted to show you quick how to put these together. So you're just going to turn them right sides together, nest your seams, put a pin in there, and then we will just sew a 1/4 inch seam along there. So we'll do that to all 4 of these, and then the blocks will be done as well. And then we'll be down to just putting our block together to finish off our star. So I'll get these all sewn up with that 1/4 inch seam, iron them flat, and then I'll meet you back here. I have all these squares done. I am really liking this star. It doesn't surprise me, but I'm really liking this one. It was super easy so far. It's only 2 different kinds of blocks, half square triangle, and then your flying geese, which is like a half square triangle type thing. But it was so simple and quick and easy. But looks like you did all this work to it. Anyways, so we're going to go ahead, and our blocks are measuring right around that 3.5 inch mark. So we're going to go ahead and square up all of our blocks before we put them together to make sure everything's nice and neat on it. So we'll just take our ruler, Let's see. Yep, it's about 3.5. So we're just going to go ahead and line up our 3.5 inch mark the best we can. Trim that, all the little bits and pieces of excess off. And then we'll just continue to go through all the blocks. So I'll get these done and then I'll meet you back here. So I was thinking what to do with these. So I put some of the small ones on there that we need to make bigger anyways. And it does make a nice frame around it. Even if I put a solid in between. I just think it looks really nice with some of these. So I think I'm going to go ahead and hang on to these. I may end up making more to do a full frame. I'm not sure yet. But I think I'm going to go ahead and make it into a frame versus making a block out of this one. Seeing they are such small pieces and won't even do a bigger size square. I think that is our best bet with that. And I'm still not sure if I'm going to use up the little tiny 1-inch pieces I have in that size. So we'll see on that one. However, we do have all of our blocks trimmed up now. So they're going to be really super easy to sew together. We'll sew them by rows. And on this row and this row, we're just going to have the one seam we got to line up. So we'll just nest those seams together. Throw a quick pin in there. And so that 1/4-inch seam in there. Open them up and iron them flat. And then we'll come back and we'll attach this one in the same way. And then we'll move up to this row here. And this row is going to be easy because there's no seams to line up or anything. So basically you're just going to put all your row together like that and sew that 1/4-inch seam all the way up, iron them flat, come back and attach the other side. So we'll go ahead and get that done and then I'll meet you back here. I am really in love with this store, guys. I just cannot get over how easy this was to put together. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to connect these rows. So we'll go ahead and nest our seams again in the middle. And put a quick pin in those. Let's get that lined up a little bit better. Now also on these ones, you have that center seam on the outside squares. Go ahead and get that one lined up. And I think I'm going to run that to the iron board and iron that the other way so it will nest in there. And we'll bring that to the sewing machine and go ahead and put a 1/4-inch seam along there. Open that up, iron it flat, and come back and do the same thing with this onto the bottom. Once I get that done, then I'll meet you back here. Okay, we are finished. It's all ironed flat. I did go ahead and trim it up a little bit just to get the loose fringy stuff off. It does measure 9.5 by 9.5. So far that is our biggest block. And I believe this is the one I like the best so far. Let me know in the comments below, guys, what you guys think of this. If you like it as much as I do, or if you're going to give it a try, because it is really simple and looks absolutely gorgeous. If you found this video useful, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up because it really helps our channel grow. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we'd love to have you here at Sew Granny Sew. Thanks all. Have a good day. Bye.